MrMaple Show. Today we're bringing you a cultivar breakdown of Styrax Japonica Nightfall.
Oh yeah. Who's ready for a weeping maroon Styrax Japonica Japanese Snowbell? That's what's up.
Yeah, Styrax Japonicus is often considered one of the most underutilized small to mid-sized trees in the garden landscape. As often, many horticulturalists, it's often one of their favorite small to mid-sized trees. Styrax Japonicus is typically a 10 to 12 foot upright tree in 10 years, and it has green leaves, but in the early spring, you get some extremely fragrant blossoms.
Yeah, I love the smell on this one. It's kind of like almost a little bit of honey, a little floral smell mixed together. It's going to be a great pollinator plant. I mean, anytime I see a large specimen of these and they're flowering, I mean, there's bees all over it.
Yeah, pollinators love Styrax Japonicus, the flowers. And the blooms, they've got that sweet smell, but there's a little kick of spice in there. It's kind of reminiscent of something like a hyacinth. And the blooms are just these little bells. That's where the tree gets the name of Japanese Snowbell. It is actually native to both Korea and Japan. And y'all, it's probably one of my favorite, really interesting small to mid-sized trees that you find in that Asiatic garden.
Yeah, I've seen, you know, a couple different cultivars of this tree, and there is just something about how that flower really changes the landscape. I mean, it's almost like little chandeliers hanging from the tree, and that's something that is just completely different, and it's an amazing garden to bring some of that light white color during the springtime to summer, and it's just an amazing tree in general.
And those blooms that we're talking about, they develop into fruits that look like little earrings just dangling off of the Styrax. For me, it's, you know, Japanese maples are my favorite tree, but Styrax, they're pretty high up there. Now, it was kind of a game changer when people found Styrax Japonicus Carillion, which is a weeping selection that has an arching out habit and this cascading pendulous style.
Yeah, that's something I love. Whenever people push those trees further, we get these interesting features that bring that new ornamental appeal to something that's already a classic in the garden.
And so Carillion has white flowers, but this pendulous nature. So it's not just this larger tree. This is a smaller to mid-sized Styrax that fits in people's gardens. Next, our friend Crispin Silva, who introduced Mystic Makawa, found and introduced Styrax Japonicus Fragrant Fountain. And this has almost a weeping style reminiscent of something like Ryusin. I mean, it's extremely cascading, very pendulous, one of the most cascading selections of Styrax ever introduced. And it's just an awesome cascading tree with that white flower.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the, you know, first Japanese Snowbells I was introduced to here at the nursery. Walking around during that summertime, getting a whiff of that tree and then looking down, seeing the little white flowers hang off of this one. And it just has such a nice habit. You get the, you know, movement of the flower down, but also the draping and weeping effect that this fragrant fountain brings to you.
Now, this was a game changer for Styrax. You know, we've been talking about green foliage. Now we've got evening lights, and this is a purple leaf selection. And it is so dark. This is an upright tree form, so this makes that larger tree like the straight species, but the dark foliage and the white flowers contrast extremely well against each other.
Now, this was my favorite Styrax Japonica until I saw Nightfall. I will say, we went to Seabright Nursery in Oregon, and there was just a huge evening lights that was just lit up with the flowers. There was bees around. The smell was heavenly, man. I mean, it's such an amazing fragrance, and seeing a large specimen of this with its dark foliage and that contrast between the flowers, I mean, amazing.
Now, you might see where we're going with this. We've got weeping habit like fragrant fountain and dark foliage like evening lights. You think someone could possibly create a hybrid between these two?
I don't know, but I think we're about to find out.
Guys, we're here with Styrax Japonicus Nightfall.
Oh my gosh, man. Whenever we were pulling these off the truck, my jaw kind of hit the ground. I mean, a weeping, dark leaf, dark foliage variety of Styrax Japonicus. Awesome.
Yeah, this is a selection that was bred and developed by Jim and Frank Schmidt Nursery, and it just has this heavily cascading, pendulous habit. So you get the all these game changers where you started to find these developments of Styrax japonicus, these Japanese snowbells that just were completely different than what was out there, and you get it all in one tree.
Yeah, I mean, how much further could you take this thing? Who knows, but this thing is just so amazing. I love the waxy leaves. It really adds a nice gloss over top of that dark foliage. I took some pretty cool pictures of this one earlier this week, and I mean, it just looks amazing. I would love to have one of these in my garden, having that weeping feeling of the actual tree itself with the chandelier, flowers. I mean, that's going to be looking awesome in the garden.
Now, we're here in September of 2024, and you can see, this is possibly the greenest that you'll see Nightfall, but it's still it has extremely dark foliage. And this plays so well in the garden. This gives you that pollinator that bees and butterflies will truly love in the garden with that dark leaves that make a statement in the garden. Remember, when you're putting this and placing this in the garden, don't put in a backdrop that's dark behind it. Keep a light backdrop, or if you are putting a more shaded situation, consider planting some things like Acer palmatum summer gold that has an upright habit, or Acer palmatum golden falls that has a weeping habit, that are both yellow, to really brighten up the area around evening lights, to show that contrast off with that dark leaf.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe some butterfly action in front of this thing. And then I think something really interesting to pair with this would be something like Acer palmatum black lace, where you get to play that upright, dark habit. And these things are going to be looking completely different colors. They'll be in that same range, but just have that diversity of color, diversity of texture in the landscape, and contrast of habits. I mean, that's a little pair made in heaven. You put that butterfly on the side, or a little bit of yellow there, and it's going to look killer in the garden.
Now, like the species, Styrax japonicus Nightfall is good in zones 5 through 9. That means it's good down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. That means anyone who grows Japanese maples, Acer palmatum, can also grow Styrax japonicus if properly sited.
Yeah, I mean, cold tolerant, and then you got all these awesome features. This thing is going to be amazing in drought conditions. It's going to survive those. Make sure you give it really good drainage, as it doesn't like much wet feet.
Yeah, I mean, the drought tolerance on Styrax japonicus is noted heavily. And in this, you get something that's got that dark foliage and is easy to grow for many gardeners. This is a selection that can be used as a specimen out there in the landscape, because it's going to really be dramatic in the way it has its strongly weeping habit, its dark leaves, which contrast much of the green in the garden. It's going to be easy to do, use in that way, but it's also a great container plant. So you can actually put this in a container and move it around your garden and enjoy this weeping, graceful habit and these dark leaves anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, an awesome one. This one's getting added to the list for, potential centerpieces in the garden. And it's just so amazing to see how far, that Styrax japonicus has evolved through the cultivars and what we just end up with today.
Now, Styrax japonicus Nightfall has that weeping habit similar to, many maple lovers, Acer palmatum rayusin. And it just is heavily cascading, and it's easily to predict. And that means that you can also train this and do a lot of fun things with Nightfall. I mean, that's such a great name. I'm glad such a great plant has a great name. But this is a tree that I would typically stake up to about 6 feet and then let cascade down. And you're going to end up getting a small tree with dark leaves getting about 6 to 8 foot in height, about 6 to 8 foot in width in 10 years. So it doesn't take over the place, but it adds a lot of drama and a lot of interest in your garden.
Yeah, and we always need a little bit of drama in the garden. So yeah, guys, thanks for checking out this awesome cultivar highlight today. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
And also check out Styrax japonicus Nightfall on MrMaple.com. If it's currently sold out, you can click the Notify Me button to be notified when this tree becomes available again. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.